What's up, everybody? It's Make It Make Sense. And if I'm looking a little puffy, I bit my lip. I don't want to show you guys because it looks really, really bad. But yeah, it looks really, really crazy. I bit it in the same place so many times. So hit that like button. Again, this is an open panel night. The link is going to be dropped. Actually, let me drop it now. This is discuss the interview. I know you guys had a lot of comments, questions. Some of you liked it, some of you didn't. Either way, tonight's the night. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat and like the video's intro plays because we got a lot to get into. I mean, a whole lot.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. I want to make it make one.
Big moves. Surfer. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you see. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense. Tell me how you squeeze it. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things that you see. Make it make sense. Tell me about the things of your dreams. Hey, let me work out all the things in between. Make it make sense.
I remember when Kandi hair used to look like this. I fly above. I fly above. I fly. No, that want you? No, I fly above.
Okay, so again, this is for you guys because I know some of you guys had questions. This looks so crazy with my lip. I bit my lip in the same place like at least 3 times in the last couple days, and now my lip is huge. What's up, Nana? You know I love when you're in here. So I'm glad that a lot of people liked the interview. I saw quite a few YouTubers had picked it up. Y'all, you should have seen my face when people sent me that we have made it to the neighborhood chat. Like, it was absolutely crazy. It was a extremely humbling experience. But for those of you who don't know it, what's up, Miriam?
Hey, how are you?
It's been a long time. I hear you're working on an advanced degree, right?
Yeah, I was, but now I put that on hold because I had death in my family last year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm focusing on my job and my kids. It's a lot. And trying to get back to what I used to do. It's been a while, but I'm so proud of you. You're doing great. You make me laugh all the time. Sometimes I gotta be honest. I make sure I see the intro and then I catch up later because that makes me laugh so much.
Well, I mean, I'm really sorry to hear that you had a loss in your family, but
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you that you're going back for an advanced degree.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm trying to find it. Neighborhood Talk really they have a lot of posts. I know me and Allison are on here. I just want to kind of show you guys and kind of give you the background because people pay a lot of money to show up on the Neighborhood Talk. Here we go. I found it. People pay a nice chunk of change, to be honest with you, to show up on the Neighborhood Talk. So the fact that they found something in me and Allison that they wanted to promote, it was extremely humbling. I never expected to be on the Neighborhood Talk without paying. Mad Beefs, you can definitely use the clips, whatever clips you want. You're welcome to them. I love Mad Beefs. You can follow Mad Beefs on YouTube. He does like really good edited videos, very funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so
her
did you take
sister was
anything from
amazing in your podcast.
Allison?
Yes.
Yes, she was,
Yep, I
and I
agree.
wish Drew had more of the common sense that her sister has and confidence. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I feel like it seems like Drew, she's been lying all the time. I think part of it is like respect for her parents. And part of it is she trying to stay married and not, because of Ralph. I feel like she was really torn and she couldn't keep up a story straight. So, you know, and if anything about Kandi, like people are coming after Kandi, I feel like Kandi exposed Courtney to who she was. She can't be
Facts.
responsible about what people say in her, speak on it. They're speaking on it, and she showed it to us. There were some things that people were triggered, which I understand. But you know what? Now we know, Courtney, for sure that Kenya was right about her. So, twirl on that.
I want to say I was right. I want to say I
Yes.
was right because from the very beginning, it's like when you're a friend of the show, you ease on into the show. When she came at
Correct.
Kandi right off the bat, I was kind of like, this is seeming forced. And then when I found out that she was a crisis manager, I was like, you can't be. Like
She's a
it's a joke,
shit
man.
starter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Braylon,
I
jump in.
wanted to come. Yeah. No, I wanted to come up here personally to say thank you. I actually reviewed your video on my channel, and what I really appreciate about your interview was you guided her through her success and you allowed her to breathe in her story. And of course, there was some ignorant trolls that came in at the end to check Allison about Drew and her lies when that wasn't the whole point of your interview. Your point of the interview was for Allison to breathe in what she wanted. Something that really stood out to me was the vulnerability of her mental health and how open she was. And it made me reflect in my own journey because I'm still a new YouTuber. I said that YouTube has given me the most social anxiety I've ever had. But also it allowed me to reflect of the different experiences in my life that I've had social anxiety in terms of wanting to fit in. I've had social anxiety of trying to be what, society says that a Black man should be. I've had, social anxiety of not wanting to fail my parents. So her being open about herself made me better about myself. But the biggest thing is just how much of a legend she is. And that's why, it's important to give flowers to people while they are still here. And I think your interview showed me that there are people that are basic on YouTube that will ask basic questions about what food did you eat at a party. And then there's interviews like yours that elevate the conversation for a purpose. So, Mims, much love to you, brother, and glad to be here. Great job.
Let me give you guys some behind the scenes about Allison. She did not want to run down her resume, like, at all. And I was like, there's no way that we can have this discussion and it be about you. And we don't I knew she worked for Martin because that interview was a very quick turnaround, right? There was no extended amount of time like I normally have. So I had to do a lot of research. So I knew she worked for Martin. I didn't know about the Johnny Carson angle, but what's important to say that what you guys did not see was there were people in the chat that she was actually impacting in real time. And when we got off the live, I don't know, she might be mad that I say this, but there was somebody who was literally really struggling and they had put it in the chat. Allison wanted to come back on live so that she could get that person's information so that she could try to help facilitate whatever their need might be because they were having some issues. And I was like, well, no, it doesn't work like that. The live is over. The people are gone. If that person DMs me, I can definitely put them in touch with you because her real goal was to get the word out about mental health, that new line. And she's serious about it, literally serious. Prosperity, you want to jump in?
It was a great interview. I gave you your flowers. I went over to YouTube. Over to the Twitter. I was like, please come on. It's been on for a minute, but it's still on. If you want to catch it, come on and catch it right now while you can do it live. I loved Allison. When Drew ran down some of her resume on the show, it made me intrigued. I was like, I want to know more. So when you were able to give her time to explain and give backstory on some of the people that she worked with, like Jamie Foxx sleeping on the floor and giving him in living, helping him get within living. I love hearing things like that about us, especially Black women, because we don't get that shine. So for you to give her that platform and let her And because she didn't want to do it, but then when she did, you can tell how she was going back in her head at the same time, like she was in that space and she was smiling and she could remember what was going on. It was good to see.
Yeah.
The Kandi thing, I felt the same way, that not paid for Kandi, not paid by Kandi. Said Kandi, I was in the live at real time. We were in there like, stop, no, don't do this. We don't, she's not it, this not it, stop the everybody was doing all that. But Kandi also, like she said, gave us who Courtney really was. Courtney could have covered it up. Kandi could have took some of the stuff out. I wish she would have took certain things out when it came to the baby and Allison's mental health. But allowing Courtney just to talk allowed Courtney to bury herself.
Just really quickly, the comments about the son, that was actually caught on a hot mic on the show, and they played it on the show, but that one wasn't on Kandi. But
now I
Yeah, but no, I'm
understand.
saying she just played it again, which gave it more legs, and then they tried to blame that on Kandi. I'm just saying the things that she could have not put, like came when, and also when Kandi said about the, she didn't look like she had mental health issues. She said that on the after show, and I was like, Kandi, no, don't say it again. You already said it once. Don't say it again because you've already said that. So it's making it look like you're doubling down on it. But your interview, it was great. Allison, one of my new favorite people.
I think what Kandi meant by
hold
that
on,
is
hold on,
because
really, Miriam, hold on, really quick. LY, thank you so much for the super sticker. There's a couple of questions that we got. Somebody just P says, "Hey, Mims, I know you teased the interview. Why not tell people about in advance so you get more people tuning in? The interview was great." Let me tell you, I never expected to have over 4,000 people watching that live. Like 4,000 people is numbers that people with 200,000-300,000 subscribers get. So that was in no small part due to Allison and her openness and people wanting to hear from her. The reason I don't tease my interviews is because I do them live. So for anybody who's a new YouTuber, I try to like come out and I give you like little tidbits. I used to talk about my stuff beforehand. Talking about your stuff beforehand allows the people to change their mind. Talking about the stuff beforehand lets them kind of temper how your audience will respond to them, and it's not always great. Case in point, I was supposed to interview Rocky's Latasha Scott's husband's mistress. And, the day before, like everything was scheduled. The day before, I talked about it. She was in the live, did not like what people are saying, and she canceled the interview. So now I have to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So that's why I teased it.
That makes sense.
I was going to tell you that, like, I now I know why Ralph banned her from their home. I feel like because she's so powerful, she's so strong, and he can't control Drew or gaslight her if her sister, this powerhouse, is around. So that is typical of people who want to control others. They try to alienate them from their family, their friends. And now it makes sense. Like Ralph doesn't want like Drew be surrounded by her sister, who I'm glad she said, because I wouldn't have known at all that, she has this big resume, like, and I wish like, and Drew, to be honest with you, she is that too. She's not in the show because she needs the money. She gets royalties. So I think Drew was caught by between a rock and a hard place, and I'm not her biggest fan. I always like the day that she brought that wig in the Secret Sister. That day I'm like, girl, like come on, everybody's getting like $1,000 up, and you're bringing a used wig. So for me that was, and then like that the prophet, like I feel like I think she learned stuff from being with Ralph that she didn't need. She used to deflect and just make noise somewhere else so that people don't see what's really going on in her house. Because the first day we saw, he's been in Tampa, and that says it all. I wish she would lean on her career, and that she is strong. She's a powerhouse herself. You don't need to lie or create things. That's my advice to her if they keep her. I feel like she has a chance to redemption, if Bravo is listening, I would keep Kenya, of course. I am twirl all the way. And Kandi, because Kandi, she's worldwide. And I would keep Drew, not Sheree. What did Sheree bring? She brought us like Martel from,
Faces.
come on, Baby Daddy? Oh man, I don't know. I
No,
hope they
no,
don't
I
keep.
no, I
Well,
no. Oh
he's
Lord,
good to
Lord
look at.
help. I will agree with the queen there. And I noticed something. I think it was in the season premiere how Ralph showed up to Ross's party and he wasn't there with Drew, and how Kandi said, like, how in the world are you here when you should be with your wife? And
Playing.
right, exactly. And I truly feel that at the end of the day, and my mom has said this, and you guys have probably heard this before, money doesn't change, you just amplifies what's already there. So the camera really didn't change Ralph, it just amplified what was already there. There was a moment where Drew was in the hospital, I think it was in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, and how she played her new song, You Already Know. And in that moment, how she said that, her dad had a joy to her. I think a lot of times in life with reality TV, and this happens even with social media, we take, a moment of what somebody is and we treat that as the masterpiece of who they are. And what ends up happening is that that's not the only color on the canvas. So, I think with Drew, like you said, beautiful, that hopefully at the end of the day, Drew will rest in the fact that, the season's over. All you have is now, and move forward making better art because you do have something to give. So.
But also, when Allison was saying that Drew saw 61 years of a love marriage and nobody gets married to want to be divorced, Drew was trying to get to reach that goal of what her mom and dad had. She didn't see divorce in her future. She didn't see divorce in her parents. She was doing what worked for her parents, and what worked for her parents was my man, my man, my man. I have to cover my man. That is what the Bible says. You are covering. So she was doing those things. And Drew had her bull crap with her as well, because you don't know when Drew acting and when Drew not acting. But also, you could also see that it was her trying to uplift her man, but her man was not doing the same for her. Drew was out there by herself. And when they first came on, I felt like they sold their marriage the first season, because I'm like, this cannot be real. This relationship is crazy. I don't know I just had no understanding of their relationship when they first came on the show. And now to know that Courtney out here bragging, yeah, I know what he did in Tampa, because he told me. No, he was doing you in Tampa, ma'am. You're what he was doing in Tampa. This story concocted all the way back then. Sheree knows something too, because Sheree is the catalyst that got her on this show. So Sheree knows something about the behind the scenes of Ralph and got daggone Courtney, Miss Bobby Brown mouth, Courtney. Twisted mouth. We know what's going on with her too. She got a little hand in that too, because you are going to tell me we were only 5 seconds into the thing and we knew we were cousins. Girl, I don't know in 5 minutes that somebody not cousin. How you going to know in 5 minutes at a party that y'all are cousins? Please tell me that conversation. No, that ain't happening. You were the girl in and you are the girl now. And then you're gonna tell him, then you're gonna say, well, I've been a better friend to him in the last 6 months than she been the whole 8 years.
God.
No, Tampa was 3 years ago. So you've been a good friend to him for 3 daggone years now. And you still ain't been a better friend than Ross. Drew's been a wife. Don't do that. Don't diminish what that lady has given to that man.
Oh God, please.
No,
If it wasn't for her, neither one of y'all would be on this show.
No,
Don't add him to your intro.
Hold on, really quickly. Bring them as TV. Mims, thank you so much for the super chat. They said, Mims, you did an amazing job, and I now love Allison. I hate Kandi stuck Jay Lee, but I knew she would. Let me touch on that really quickly. I know that there are a lot of new content creators who watch me. I'm not one of those content creators who will not kind of let you know the game as I go along. I'm still learning, but in all honesty, I've always applied business acumen to YouTube. And so I don't mind sharing. Somebody had made the comment like it was Mim's fault that Jay Lee got struck. And I'm like, what? How could it be my fault?
What?
I saw it And a few times I've gotten burnt by saying something before it happens. One was that stuff with Melody. I said it before it happened. But what I said happened. It aired on the show in the exact way that I said it would happen. With Jay Lee, once the neighborhood talk picked it up, and once I saw the way that it was branded, I was like, you left yourself open for a strike, which would be your chance to correct it before you got struck. Do I hate that it happened to her? Yes, I hate to see any, smaller content creator get struck. But sometimes you can see the writing on the wall. Just because I said it does not mean that it would happen. But it was me giving like a heads up, like you. So, okay, for new content creators, there's a lot of new content creators who come on. This is not Jay Lee. Jay Lee is solidified. She's been around for a very long time. I used to watch her. I want to say RHOA reviews. Her, Ashley Miller, Forge Rocks, Alexander Rogers. So a lot of people are now doing content where they take people's Instagram and all they do is screen grab it, put a title on it, and put it up. Eventually, YouTube will demonetize you. YouTube does not necessarily like that kind of content because you are not giving commentary on what the person is saying. So there are certain protections that you have with fair use. But the bottom line is, like, if you are dealing with a celebrity and you're using their content, all they have to do is go to their attorney. Their attorney can send something to YouTube. They don't even have to go the route of the typical strike where you have to put it in because it's somebody else's content. So the video that I saw, there was no commentary on it. And so that's why I was kind of giving the heads up. Like, I don't know that Jay Lee watches me or not, but, people might have, let her know, hey, it's like a little bit of a warning. Do I hate that it happened to her? Absolutely, unequivocally, because you put so much hard work into your channel. And I think she has like thousands and thousands of subscribers. If you lose that, it's like losing a part of yourself. For me, YouTube is an outlet that kind of helps me move along. It's not a business for me yet. Even though I think like a business-minded person, it's not my business. So,
And plus knowing that in the clip, if I don't mind saying this, you gave Jay Lee credit, but you also were but you also were real of, if Kandi has not put this up yet and you have it, there's a chance. So no, you were on both sides for sure. I remember that clip.
I definitely was just trying to give like heads up, like, hey, and also I talked to a lot of new content creators. So I've seen people who have solidified channels lose their channel and lose their monetization because YouTube brands it as reuse content.
Okay, can I say something?
Yeah,
I'm going to
Mom
jump
has
in.
been here since the beginning. You just jump in.
But
Okay.
everybody know your heart is real, ma'am. So that should have never been a thing. Because anybody that listens to you know your heart and know you would never say anything or wish bad on anyone.
Right. But a lot of people just don't know him. They're tuning into him for the first time. It's so funny because I'm an outsider looking in. I'm not a content creator. I just occasionally come on and there's certain people I follow and I watch. And the way this whole thing unfolded organically in my life, I can see all sides of this. For one, let me just, in Jay Lee's defense, she always gives commentary to every video that she reviews. I am a subscriber on her channel and have been. I'm one of the bushers. Like, I'll be in the bushes just watching. You know what I mean? So, but I don't have a dog in the fight with any of this. But I, like you, Mims, I saw where it was going to go left. And this is without being a content creator or whatever. Jay Lee did what she always does. I'm a subscriber, so I know she has a habit of, if she's live and there's other things going on that are hot topics, she will record those and screen grab it and then go back, edit it, give her commentary and bring it to us later. So when all of this happened, the night that everything dropped, I was watching Jay Lee and she was doing commentary on something else. And she said, speak on it's on now. I'm recording it and I'll go back and watch that and do the review. I
Which
didn't
is smart,
watch
by the way.
Okay. Then I watched you. And when you went off, like you said, Speak On It just happened to still be on. So then I watched Speak On It. So I heard everything in live time. By the next day, I saw that they had taken down the original Speak On It, and I could guess why, and it had been, people didn't know whether it was coming back up or whatever. And then when it came back up, I saw Jay Lee and she just happened to say, well, yeah, I have the unedited clip and I'm going to be doing my commentary and I'll post it later. I knew as soon as she said it, it probably wasn't the best idea, because if Kandi took it down, did not want it up for whatever reason, even though she allows people to use her content and review her normal Speak On It, that's fine. But I don't want you to review stuff that I deemed that was controversial and I felt the need to take down.
Yeah.
But in Jay Lee's defense, she did say, when she realized the Neighborhood Talk had picked it up in the middle of her live, she said, oh man, the Neighborhood Talk just picked it up. So it's probably going to bring attention if Kandi and them
unwanted attention. That was
Right.
correct.
That part.
Yeah.
That part.
But she did state, if they do ask me, to remove it, I'm not going to be like, oh, no, I'll wipe my behind with it. She's like, I'll take it down. If anything, I'll make it private. She did say that. So I see all aspects. Yeah, they didn't owe her anything where they had to ask her. But like she said, she believes in courtesies. It just was a courtesy. It wouldn't have been no harm, no foul.
Let me say this just for new content creators, because I think the particular video that I saw with the unedited content, there was no commentary.
Okay.
There was
Well, I saw when she did it live, there was definitely commentary. So somebody must have did hers over again.
No, I shouted. No, hold on one second. Hold on, because this is important. I shouted Jay Lee's corner out because, and I was like, this was smart. Business wise, this is smart. And I said, you guys go actually watch it. I saw the content. It was Jay Lee's video. But I think maybe she did a couple videos, right? Like maybe one live where she did the commentary, and the other one was just the unedited.
Right. She did the commentary first, then she played the unedited view. And I get what you're saying. There was no commentary on the unedited view because she had already done it already.
That's the problem.
Right. It was a singular video with just unedited content, and that's why I issued the kind of like warning, like, oh, that one might get you. A live where you're giving commentary on it, it may not. You know what I mean? And then some people are like, well, you said Kandi copyrighted all of her stuff. To be clear, I never got a copyright claim from Kandi. What happened was Kandi, during the Kandi gang, one of the members is a dancer. So they started doing like dances in some studio with an actual choreographer. I took one of those dances and put it on my intro. And YouTube picked up that it was copyrighted content and asked me to remove it, not Kandi. But Kandi had copyrighted those choreographed dance videos that she put out. So that's what I was saying. I've never had a copyright claim from Kandi. There was a couple things there was a lot of fast moving parts going on from the last episode of RHOA actually being a good episode to then me finishing in time to watch Speak On It, and then I'm watching Speak On It, and Courtney is saying all these things like the woman shouldn't be drinking, and she has meant, I can't be fighting the mentally ill. I was so mad.
All of those are red flags, and she was saying it. You know how when you listen to something and you're like, huh, did she just say that? And then did she just respond like that? But the one thing I want to say is this. Yes, that conversation, as Jay Lee would say, needed to be had, because what it showed was, one, hopefully now people have a better understanding that mental issues, there's a vast variety of them, and they show up in all different realms, all different. So you cannot just assume that.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute you guys. Norris, I muted you.
Oh. Mims, my phone
Um,
is dying. I just want to say one thing I wish Kandi did. Instead of re-editing and taking that part out, I wish she put a disclaimer. And every time, like she said something controversial, she would have added to it, we do not condone what she said, but we're showing you what she said. And if she wants to defend herself, let her dry out in the desert. Like Courtney, she's horrible. She really is. What she said was outrageous, but now we see her. We see her for who she is. So now we believe her even more. Oh God. Oh my God. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sleep tonight, Mims.
Candy's
But in
reaction.
defense of Candy, it's not on her to put up a disclaimer every time somebody says something that she doesn't agree with. That's going to take all day. Be it like on this panel, we're all going to say stuff that Mims doesn't agree with. If he put up and said a disclaimer every time we open our mouths, that's going to take away from the content. At the end of the day, like I said, I think it was good the way everything unfolded because it gave us all an opportunity to revisit this conversation that apparently needs to be had. Because what it shows is that a mental
there's still some biases held for people who
right, and you need to know that it doesn't look a certain way. You shouldn't think that everybody that has an issue is medicated and that they have the same diagnoses. Some people's medication's not necessary. Some people take other forms of therapy, be it meditation and yoga. Everything's not one
One size
paintbrush.
fit all.
So
But
right.
Candy is not
hold on,
one.
No,
I'm
hold on.
sorry. Hold on 1 second, because I got some super chats, and I know we gotta get to succeeding
Mims,
in brown eyes.
I'm gonna listen in the background. Let other people
Miriam,
come on.
you are more than welcome to look and lurk in the bush.
Oh yes, I will. You know I am all the time, especially the
All
intro.
right, have a good one.
But without Ralph,
Patricia.
please.
Patricia, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you. We got we got a couple more. Patricia, again, thank you for the super chat. She says, great interview. Drew does not need him. Oh, I agree. Gaslighting her always. Manipulation, manifestation is what I lived for 15 years. We want our marriages to last when we needed to end the party a long time ago. Well, thank you, Patricia, for the super chat. And thank you for being upfront, because I think a lot of us stay in things that we should not be in anymore because it's comfortable or because it is, sometimes financial. It could be a lot of things. Sometimes you're abused and don't even know that you're being abused, and it's like that cycle of abuse. So thank you so much for sharing your story, and I think you're absolutely right. We have one more. Somebody says, was it Jamie? That's me. No, it's Jaylee's Corner. Jaylee's Corner is solidified, just like Jamie. That's me. She's been around for years.
Since 2017.
Is it just 17?
She said, I'm almost sure she said since 2017.
She also was
Hold
on the ladies' first panel.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second. I remember watching Jaylee's Corner, and there was like a group. They weren't technically a group, but I watched them in a group. Forest Rocks, Jaylee's Corner, Ashley Miller, Alexander Rogers, James Caldwell, Lady Nika. It was all these people, Funky Dineva, who all did RHOA. So
probably her own though, like that to this level.
Yeah, like she's solidified in these YouTube streets. People know Jaylee.
Mim, she also was on the ladies' first panel with Bondi Blue, Nisi, and Jamie. That's me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, so that was just a piece of information because there are a lot of new content creators who, might get into a situation and they don't know why. Right. If you're going to utilize somebody's content and you're going to do fair use, one thing that helps is in that actual video, either your face is showing or you're doing commentary. So people complain to me all the time, like, why are you stopping it every 5 to 10 seconds? Because I have to. I don't want to strike. Mm-hmm. But it's important to state, I think Jaylee, somebody sent me a video of Jaylee saying she's now resolved all issues with Kandi's team and they have removed the strike.
Good.
So,
that's right.
Yep.
It's been resolved. So I'm really happy for her. I hate that
that's awesome.
Got the strike in the first place.
Mims, can I
Um,
say this one last thing? I just wanted
mhm.
to, with Kandi, I just wanted to leave on this point with Kandi. I know a lot. I know that the comments that she said in reference to Allison was just as questionable as some of the things that Drew said. His reference as, well, I didn't think, it didn't look like this, that, and the third. But in a way, I'm glad she said it, because it shows the rest of us that no matter how accomplished or quote unquote worldwide you may be, sometimes we're not sometimes we're ignorant on certain things.
Hmm.
We don't have to be
Absolutely.
all knowing in every aspect. So she needed to be educated, as well as I'm sure there's other people that thought like her needed to be educated. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to be torn down because of it. And now hopefully she has a better understanding about that. And now other people, because of this conversation that went viral, they have a better understanding. And I think that that's the best takeaway, that everybody got to learn something from this.
Absolutely
Oh,
agree.
definitely. I I like Candy. I
Mm-hmm.
don't make any qualms about it. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily candy coated or the candy gang, but Candy is one of my favorites, and she's been one of my favorites since season 2 when she told Nene, or was it season 3? I'm gonna calm down before I get to
Right.
busting on your
Before I
ass.
blow up on, before
Yeah,
I blow
Before
Yeah.
I
up.
get to
right
blowing
Bring
up
there.
it
on
That
on
your
one.
ass.
Yeah.
down before I get
You
to
better
blowing.
bring it on down. Bring it on
Hmm.
down.
And she became one of my favorites
Yep.
when she said, I could take care of every one of you motherfuckers if I wanted to. And when she
Mm-hmm.
was at the reunion with Marlo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
Candy is definitely one of my faves. But
Good.
with that being said, it was important to have Allison have a space where she felt comfortable and she could
Right.
reply. And I
Correct.
gave Allison absolutely no rules. Whatever you want to talk about. She didn't want to talk about her like accolades or
Yeah.
accomplishments. I said we're going to talk about that. But anything else, how she chose to respond was absolutely how Allison wanted to. I did not give
Right.
her any rules or
Yeah.
stipulations.
I love the way
Um,
you did it.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
yes.
Hello. Hi,
Hey.
everybody. I'm trying to get in,
It,
but my mic
No,
wasn't
you
you know
working.
gotta
what?
throw
I've been trying to
bows.
get in. I haven't been able to get in since I
Brown
got
eyes,
on.
I haven't
succeeded.
either. And I've
You
been
just
on a
gotta
long time
throw some
too.
bows.
Yeah.
You gotta throw bows, tie up your
Yeah.
hair, pull out
Okay.
the
Well, you
I
said
Vaseline.
don't like
you
I don't
said I
like
was
interrupting people, but go
yeah.
Not
ahead.
Vaseline.
You said I was next anyway after
Yes, jump in.
Autumn's. Okay, so I could talk now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I wanted to tell you you did an amazing job with the interview. I was really proud of you. I was sitting here like a proud big sister.
Well, thank
And
you.
honestly, I took Candy's comments very offensively. And the reason I do is because for the last several years, we know as a society that there is no look of mental illness, because we've heard of people that are unaliving themselves. We've seen that it has not had a look. And so that's this just didn't happen yesterday. This has been happening for several years, even prior to 2020. And during that time, there were a lot of people that unalived themselves. So to say something that ignorant today is very, very, it's in her reaction, her laughing. It was just, and she had already made that comment to Drew. So this is the second time you've made that same stupid A comment. And I'm sorry, you can't hide behind, oh, I didn't know. Oh, because we know that things don't have a look, that people get on here, they tell you stories. You, Mims, you don't look like what you've been through.
Right.
So we can sit here. She doesn't look like what she's been through with having a fiance that was in this situation that we knew that her fiance. So to say something like that is just the most ignorant thing that you could say today, and you cannot hide behind and say, oh, I did not know. And so that's just what I want to start with. But I love the way you did the interview as a Chicagoan. Her father, very
Mhm.
well respected, and no one has given Drew
A
even
doctor, right?
yes, oh
Mhm.
yes, no one has given Drew grace for even losing her father. And yeah, not only was he a doctor, but he was one of the first. He was at one of the largest hospitals. And he was honored during Black History Month, a couple of, times. And he was one of the first. And I think that Drew was trying to protect her loser of a husband because that's what she saw her mom. She didn't have to protect her husband. However, she saw her mom. Like she said, the mom worked 2 jobs while he was in medical school. And so she saw a mom that supported her. But you know that a lot of people that are in a situation that's the abuse, the civ situation, where they're being, I don't know if
like
you can say that
abused.
word. Yeah, you can say that.
Okay. I mean, this live is for y'all.
Okay.
This is a y'all's live.
So the person that's in that situation, whether it's the man or the woman, they don't share. They do protect. They do lie for that person. They do say things that don't make sense, and that's what it looks like to me. But I love the way that you pointed out what Allison had done, but she didn't want it to be about her. But it was great that you did that, because it wasn't until they were at that table, if you remember, that they realized who Drew's sister actually was, because Drew doesn't brag that she has a father that was a doctor. You never heard her on TV, and all of those other ladies would have been bragging from the sky on down. Oh, my father's a doctor. Or I grew up with she never said that on that show. She never said, oh, my sister did XYZ. The others, they would have bragged about all of that. And
by
Allison,
others, you mean Courtney, right?
All of them. I mean, all of them. Every single one of them would have. Look, Sheree can't even get past Bob. She's still hiding her name. Why is her last name still Whitfield? They've been divorced for 50 years. Hey, he went back to Stanford after he left her. He went back to Stanford and got his degree. So, and then she lies and says she doesn't know that he had a child. Yet on the show, they show Sheree saying, introduce me to Candace. How you know her name is Candace if you didn't know who she was? Ma'am?
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to that.
Rewind that part. You will see that when Sheree was over there, she said to Bob, and it just came to Mim's mind when I said it. He remembers it. She said, aren't you going to introduce me to Candace? How do you know her name, ma'am?
That's a good point.
That was a good point.
I'm a very optimistic person. I really hope that Kandi will do the right thing and probably issue an apology. Now, I hope the same thing for Funky Dineva, and that backfired on me.
I didn't want to say nothing about you and that. I wasn't going to say anything, fan.
I always hope that people, do the right thing, and I was very disappointed in Funky's apology. Yeah. But yes, ma'am, Ms. Brown Eyes, jump in.
Did Allison tell you in the background she was expecting an apology from Kandi? Because she didn't even drag Kandi. She dragged Courtney. Only time Kandi came up in your interview when you said Kandi cringed. Only thing Allison said was she cringed. She shouldn't have maybe showed it. So she didn't even. So I know they have each other's number because Drew played in her movie. I'm sure they can handle that. But people seem to overlook it. Speak on it. Kandi let people say what they want to say. She made comment. And you see, Courtney kept cutting her off. And what Kandi said was, Drew made it seem like Allison was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Did you hear what Kandi was saying? She told the cast that Allison was worse off than she was. So when Kandi met Allison, she said she don't look like what Drew said. Then when she went to the retreat, she said she got to know Allison, and she realized there's no look to that. Did you hear that when Kandi said it to Courtney? Then Courtney said it was for a storyline. Kandi said, you said that, not me.
And then Kandi said, but I was thinking it. Her exact words followed, but I was thinking it.
So what Drew
she was thinking
told them,
because Drew told Kandi and Drew had a conversation already about Allison.
Correct.
That she was institutionalized.
Yep.
The first time, I don't think it was by her own accord.
Correct.
And the second time, it was. So Allison and I have talked as it pertains specifically to Drew. And I feel like for Drew, and I got in hot water for saying this yesterday or when I did that interview. I didn't really like Drew.
Yeah, you did say it.
I'm never gonna be me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I'm having that, what we saw, it was fun, it was insightful, but it was like a real conversation between me and Allison. I did not really give Drew an actual chance until it was announced that she was going to be separating from Ralph, because I felt like there was some
hope
issues there. Yes, like I felt like he gaslit her, and I felt like, just if you know, this is from me, not from Allison, but if you think about it, Drew moved with Allison, and Allison really, you know, Drew was a child actor,
right?
That's So Raven, and a successful one at that. Drew has always known the lifestyle of having a team, right? So I think that she probably brought that to RHOA. And if her team is her husband, I kind of read between the lines what Allison was saying. She was going to go along with what her husband wanted.
Yep.
And if you really think about it, like if we were really thinking about this again is not Allison. This is how I think. They got that house after they got RHOA.
Right.
If you were just big pimping and big balling, you would have started the show with a 10,000 square foot mansion with a 300 bottle wine cellar. But that was something that Ralph wanted.
Right.
Ralph moved into that house without Drew even being there. And then kind of let the audience know, in my opinion, that it was his house.
Right.
So I never liked him. I'm sorry. I never liked him. I think that they made the most adorable kid. Drew's daughter, her son is a cute kid too, but I'm just talking about in terms of Ralph. That is that's a big blessing to have such an adorable, well-behaved daughter that came out of that union. But I think that Drew can survive and thrive without blockhead.
Definitely.
Ralph. Oh, absolutely. And you also have to remember too, when they were, Lord help me, Jesus. When they were on their rock climbing day and they were talking about the song, you know, You Already Know, and how they were talking about, you know, or how Drew was talking about, I don't think we did enough. And you know, Ralph was like, well, I think I did more than enough. I'm like, wait a minute. If you're a part of our team, like you so said, Mims, wouldn't you try your best to figure out what you can do to expand that? I mean, V103 Atlanta with Big Tigger, one of the biggest personalities in Atlanta. Of course, the Brad and So Def with Jermaine Dupri.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not know they have 3 kids. I just always remember seeing the little girl sitting in the kitchen talking. They have 3 children?
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Yep, it's 3.
I get confused with that too, man. I do.
She has 2 by Ralph and 1 by the first one.
Yeah, because when the ladies were all criticizing her about her body, she had just had a baby, so it was kind of like they sounded very stupid, you know, because she had just had a baby.
Wait, who's the? This is me being honest. I remember the little girl she's always in a lot of scenes, and I remember the oldest son. I always felt like he did not want to be on camera,
right?
Especially as it involved, you know, bonus. What did they call him?
First
dad. And the adoption. I don't remember. Is it a little boy or a little girl who's the child in the middle?
Well, she has the 8-year-old son, a 2-year-old daughter, and then the 12-year-old son.
I'll have to look into that. Okay, but chalk that up to my head tomorrow. It was Braylon. You can finish, and then it's gonna be Norris, Tony, and is it Precious B?
It's Crispy. It's fine.
Crispy. Sorry.
Okay.
No, all good. And like I said, I thought I saw a son and a daughter on often. But yeah, in that moment with the You Already Know and how Drew has not been in the music game for a long time. That's something that she's wanted to pursue. That was her main gift. I felt that if he could support her in that, there was probably other things that he wasn't being supportive in as well. So
I agree. Yep, I agree with you.
Well, with me, I always have followed Drew. I was a Drew fan from way before Atlanta, but when she got on the show and started lying all the time, that bothered me. When people say she's not a good actress, I used to be in the chat. Yes, she is. Go back and look at this movie.
Right.
Drew's been around a long time. I think she's a good actress. They're downing her for the past. I think she was good. She wasn't the I think the other girl did better, but Drew did good. She's an actress. She's seasoned. But I just don't like the lies. I didn't like her storyline, the gaslighting. It just got to me and it bothered me.
Right.
I wanted her to be a little tougher. I wanted her to play a role where she's tough and can fight Ralph back.
Right.
But
Where
I've
she could
always
be
been a
herself.
Drews fan.
I
Yeah,
agree.
you know
I've
she
always
was
been a Drews fan.
Yeah, I agree
And
with
she
you.
has more accolades than Kenya. I know you love Kenya, but Drew have way more starring roles than Kenya. Kenya got past the roles. Like, hi, how you doing? And leave. Drew actually had actress roles. She actually played leading parts. Go back and look at her resume, ma'am. She did way more. Kenya main thing is Atlanta Housewives. That's where all her credits is mostly are. You look at Wait to Exhale. If you look at Wait to Exhale,
Right.
how many minutes did Kenya have in that? 2?
Break it down.
What about
What we won't do? What we won't
What about
do
Martin?
on this
What about
live.
Martin?
What we won't
But
do.
I'm just trying to show you that Drew can act. Drew can act. That's my point. She can act.
When you actually said that to Allison, I was like, nah he talking about something. What about Kenya?
Allison checked him. No, Allison said
she said that she is a beauty queen.
She said she's a beauty queen. Drew is an actress. Drew has done this, that, the other. She ran Drew's because remember, it wasn't until the ladies brought up who dated someone famous and they thought Drew was lying. And when they thought Drew was lying, it was when Allison came in that they realized who Drew's sister actually was. So they thought Drew was lying. No one admitted that Drew was not lying about Sheree. It wasn't until the end they let the Drew lying, play out. And then they were like, oh yeah, that happened to me too. Oh, it happened to me too. Well, why did you wait 5 episodes to say it happened to you? That Sheree took everything back.
Okay, so these are Drew's children: Josiah JoJo by first dad, Makai, Ralph's son, born June 2015, and a daughter, Anaya, born 2018.
Yeah, so that's the one that's 12, 8, and a little girl too.
I wonder why maybe the middle son doesn't want to be on camera, because I know I see the daughter all the time, and she's just she looks like one of those kids that would be on Nickelodeon or something. So I'm always like, oh, she's a cute kid, but she's very quiet.
She may be preparing her though. She may be, you know what I mean? Because she started young, so she may be preparing her daughter to be comfortable for being on TV.
Prissy B.
Yes. Hi.
Jump in.
I was just trying to be respectful of everybody and not like talk over people, but yeah,
and Norris too. I'm so sorry, guys.
Oh yeah, let Norris go.
I
think he was before me. I think Norris can go because he was waiting a long time. I just came in, so Norris can go, and then I can go after Norris.
Norris, jump in.
Hey, Norris.
Hey, Norris. How you doing?
Hey, everyone.
Hey, babe.
I just want to say, ma'am, that interview with Allison was wonderful. That interview and Tita was my favorite, was the best 2 interviews to me.
Oh, thank you.
I made a video earlier on my channel. I shouted you out. Yep, I sure did. I gave you a shout out in my video earlier that I did on my channel. It was about 3 of the housewives that was returning. Remember when they was talking about 3 possible housewives returning to next season? And then I have a little over 2,000 subscribers. So
nice.
Congratulations.
That's great.
Yeah, could I have your channel name?
On the screen, Norris Tony.
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
So so Norris always has some fly comments. You liked the interview. Did you have any thoughts on the whole situation?
Well, I think that Courtney, to me, she's extra. Read all about it. She's teen too much. She tried to make a splash this season, but didn't know how. She's the fake cousin in my book. She's like a Faith, So like I said, I just don't think that her or Ralph are cousins either. I'm glad Allison came out and revealed that, and I think Drew should come back because I want to see the dynamic of Drew, Allison, and Ralph and Courtney. I want to see how that dynamic goes. Replace Sheree because she don't bring anything to the show. Don't need to come back. You know, because she's too old to get that plastic surgery that she got. She messed her nose
Mm.
up. She messed her face up. She by ain't got it. She don't, you know, she has bad fashions. She has bad taste in men. You know,
Ooh.
she's the faded OG. You know, she don't have a leg to stand on.
Oh
You know,
my
so
gosh, not that picture. Ooh.
she by fake need to fake her behind off the show. And then that OG scene when she brought back KKK Kim, and we could keep Killer Kim Z off the show. We don't
Yeah.
want her back on the show no more. Miss Gold Digger, you know she plastic surgery gone wrong too. So her and Sheree are the fake
Same
Ebony
doctor.
surgery.
They got the same doctor.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing because remember Prosperity? Didn't they used to compare themselves the way they look? Like, oh, we look alike.
Yes, and she has looked like her since she's been getting all these faces. She's looked like
Right.
5 different people already.
She looked like Hazel E, Drew, and Kim Z all put together.
No, don't
I will
forget
say
Big
that her
Mama's
face
house.
settled.
What?
Her face settled very nicely by the reunion.
No.
Yeah,
Her face looked good.
it did. It settled into a permanent smile.
Well, don't forget she looked like Big Mama's house and that
Oh,
purple when she had that purple in her confessional. She looked like Big Mama's house, and don't forget she looked like Miss Doubtfire on the after show.
Y'all know,
Hallelujah.
y'all know I'm not lying because when she went to tell Drew that her father passed, her face was smiling. That's why Drew was like, "Wait, what?" She like your reaction, you smiling. What you mean your father passed? You know what I mean? Because the reaction didn't go with the expression.
Oh.
Her face
Well,
ain't fixed on the reunion either. She still got the Joker little look to her face on the reunion.
Prissy B, please jump in.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, Kandi
She's
would never.
to piggyback on what she said to me, I think Sheree is a beautiful woman, even though I think she's very lazy. But to me, she didn't really need all that to me. But
was.
she's really not. Though she's useless sometimes on the show, but I don't think she's a pretty. I'm not gonna hate on any woman, and she's a beautiful woman, and she didn't need that. But to topic, like I really, man, shout out to you. I really like that you gave Allison the space because stuff like this is why I want to become a clinician and a therapist because our community needs it so bad.
Yes.
So it really kind of hit close for me, and it gave me like motivation on why I want to do this because, like, you know, there's different mental health stuff, and like it doesn't always, you can't always see it, and it's not a certain look. So my girl Kandi, she's my girl, but I just wish, and you know, like someone said before, I think it was Autumn's mom said, like, we're not always educated on each topic. We don't know everything. Like, I'm not a content creator, so I don't know the ins and out, you know, of how to run a YouTube channel. Like, we're all like ignorant or not aware of something. So I just wish, and she did kind of, on her Kandi Coded Lie, I did hear a clip where she did say, she did acknowledge that her comments wasn't cool. But yeah, I feel like Allison does deserve an apology because I felt like even if she and Drew have their little beef back and forth, I don't think Allison deserved that stray.
Right.
No, I agree. And by the way, I want to say this to you. I think there's a website called Black Therapy, Black Therapists for Girls. I think it's a website where it's actually a directory of Black female therapists that you can add yourself to or reach out if you just want mentorship. I just wanted to give that resource to you. No problem.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so it just made me think like this is why I want to do it because our community, even in my own family, they're so oblivious to it or just, you know, don't know about it or not properly educated. So I really like that she was able to share what she went through and it could help other people as well.
Right. That's true.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I mean, the amount of support that Allison was getting on that live in the comments in the chat.
Yeah.
The amount of people who were coming forward saying, you know, I have some struggles, some challenges. That's the whole point. So
Right.
I have told Allison that I will support her, you know, like future goals for her YouTube and stuff like that. So when she goes live for the first time, whether she has me on as a guest or not, I'm going to share it so you guys can go and check it out in real time. The woman is honest to God, really about the work of helping other people
Yes.
achieve their mental health goals.
Right.
Literally, she wanted to restart the live after it was over because I told her, I was like, well, there were some people who were saying, you know, they were having some challenges currently. And she's like, why didn't you stop it?
Yeah.
She's really about
She's
that
in that
life.
mode.
She really
But
is.
the PSA she was talking about that's geared towards Courtney, I'm ready for. I want to see it.
Yes, I do
want
too.
to
I'm
see
here
it.
for it. But don't y'all remember the commercial that showed, and this commercial came out at least 5 to 7 years ago, and it showed a person walking around, and they said, this is what, you know, they were showing you that this person had this mask like on their face, and the commercial was geared at this is how a person wears a mask, and you don't know that this is what's going on. I'm telling you, this campaign did not just start yesterday. It has been an initiative. It was stars that came out. It was like 30 something in 2018 alone. Think about how much time you started hearing PS, you know, even the diagnosis of that, more people saying I suffer, you know, from this disorder. I mean, it's just been in the last few years. So people know that this is something that you don't always know what it looks like. But that commercial really showed it because it showed this woman walking around with her face with this mask on, because that's what it looks like.
I remember the commercial.
Guys, I'm gonna have to rotate the panel because more people are wanting to come on.
Okay.
I'll
drop.
All right. Well,
I'll
thank
drop.
you
I'm
so
gonna
much
step
for
down,
your insights. All right. I appreciate you guys coming up. There might be more stuff coming with Courtney. So don't, you know, there might be more stuff. She was willing to do question and answer. I just don't feel comfortable in an interview setting, keeping people typically past the hour. We were at an hour and a half. And I was like, no, she was willing to sit and talk about mental health and if people had questions. So we probably will do something soon. But thank you guys for the ones that came up.
Yeah, she said she's going to do you all were doing a part 2. Is that correct? Or did you say a part 2?
Well, there were questions that I did not ask because I know that she has something coming up, but a part 2 for us could be real messy. So it might happen.
Okay.
Thank you,
I just
Mel,
want
for
to
taking my call.
No
I
problem,
like the
Norris.
video.
Have a good
I'm gonna
night.
step down.
And I'm gonna go
Goodbye,
look at your
everyone.
video.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank
I just
you.
want to say you were right, Mims. That you were right all along. I never liked Courtney either. And each time you said it, I would just be dancing because I felt the same way. You were right all along. You dragged her every chance you got, and you were right, and it was justifiable. And now you see that what you saw was justifiable.
It's weird. Her energy is weird and off, and it's not business at all.
It's not.
I speak business very well. And if your bread and butter is in crisis management and everything that you do is counter to that, then I don't trust you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ralph said,
right.
It's
told
like,
me.
It was very cringy because it seemed like she just went there to be Ralph's defender.
Yeah.
Like pretty much you're just there to be Ralph's defender. And when she said she worked for Simon Gabadia, I side-eyed her, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird too.
Okay, hold on. Do you want some inside dirt about that situation? Yeah. Okay, so there are people in the background trying to get in. So Braylon, I hope you don't mind. Prosperity.
I'm going.
I'm gonna have to rotate the panel out because they.
I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna give us some dirt.
Oh, brother, you are more than good. Great job. I do want to mention one last thing. I was proud of Allison for recognizing her past because remember how she said her ex-husband was a Colin Kaepernick? I think that goes to show that, you know, the Martin Luther King Jr.'s, the Corral Scott Kings, there have always been hidden figures. We just need to appreciate them more. Keep being yourself, Mims. Love you, brother. Love everybody. See y'all soon.
I just wanted to say, Mims, I too, every week on my channel, could not wait for the episode to be over. I didn't care what she did, whether it was big or small. She was going to get drugged because I just could not with her. And then after that thing talking about being married for 8 years, you know, you better to him than her. Like, no, just because you're sleeping with people does not make you a better person to that person. You're not cousin Courtney. If anything, you're hunching cousins. And like, come on, girl. No. get your mouth fixed before you start going at Drew, because Drew is a beautiful woman and her mouth is on her face the way it's supposed to be.
Oh.
Bye, y'all.
Okay. Thank you, Prosperity Thick Girl. Thank you, Prosperity. Okay, so the inside stuff. Somebody had put in my comments that potentially Courtney, let me put my allegedly banner up. Potentially Courtney had messed with Simon. And I'm like, okay, some people just be saying stuff. And so then they reminded me that when Fallon interviewed Porsche, when Tisa Tales interviewed Fallon, Fallon admitted that Simon had only two employees, and they were females. Courtney had said that she was one of two that actually had an office in Simon's, office, and that she worked directly for Simon. I did a whole day of research. I had divorce decrees pulled. I did like a whole day of research. Private Eye was called. I chose not to run that story because I do not believe that the person that Fallon was saying was sleeping with Simon was Courtney. Now, Courtney's part of a 2-person team. Specifically, when I went back and did all the research, Fallon did not name a name, but she said that one of the people had been there for a very long time, and that tracked. I think Courtney was the one who she was not talking about, because Courtney worked for Simon a long time ago. Then she got married. Then that divorce fizzled out, and then she came back to Atlanta. So that's why I didn't run the story. But I was working on the story because after she said she worked for Simon, but I can't run a story where I'm telling you it's not this person, right? I'm not trying to clickbait y'all or anything like that. Even though I'd done all the research, I did not. And I do not think that Fallon was talking about Courtney being the employee who had slept with Simon. So that's a little inside. This stuff is not easy, literally, to do all this research. So the next person up was Kiana Hinton. Thank you for being patient.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's my first time up on your panel. I hope I don't do too much. I usually do too much when I'm
When
on
don't we
panel.
do too much? If you're a straight shooter, it's expected that you do too much, that you are a
Exactly.
good person but a little messy.
Oh yes. Now, Braylon was up here before. Braylon tell you how I get a little bit, especially when it comes to people I don't like. And I don't like that twisted mouth broad, Kookie, Cocoa Puff. What her name is? You said, y'all, Courtney. Okay,
I think we're
Courtney.
calling her UC at wait, what was it? Unverified cousin Court. So
Unverified cousin Courtney.
Fake cousin Courtney.
The one who always talking about somebody else drinking, but seemed to blame all her mess on drinking. Oh, okay.
that's a good
It
point.
really exactly. She talking all that mess about what Drew's sister supposedly was drinking, but every single time she did or said something crazy, oh, they left me with the vodka. Oh, you can't leave me with vodka for too long. Oh, you can't do this. Oh my God, like I really wasn't gonna say this on camera. Girl, I headbutt you for candy. Like, don't do that.
You
Cause that
sound
really
just like
irks
her.
me.
You sounded
I,
just
I did. It really irked me when she did that. And when they said, oh, mental health don't have a look, it really took me back from when I was trying to get disability, because I ain't gonna lie, I had a mental breakdown when I was 28, literally like months before I turned 29 years old. I just turned 30, by the way. I suffer from PTSD and extreme depression. I have gone through a lot in my life. And the one main thing that the people told me, because I had to go to court for it and everything, trying to see why they wouldn't give it to me, they literally told me that I'm so well spoken and I just need to try to, like navigate through and everything will be okay, which I appreciate. Like, thank you for the kind words. But what really got to me was the fact that she said, since I'm so well spoken and I don't seem to have problems, I didn't need any help. And that really did something to me. And I told my mom that. I was like, because my mom was like, are they, because my family would know when I'm spiraling when I'm not. And even when they don't know. it's like I know that I have these issues. I know when I have these triggers and when it gets to a point to where my triggers are triggering a little bit too much. But for me to hear that and to hear Kandi and Courtney say that, it's like, bro, what do we need to look like? Do I need to just like it was said, like, do I have to come out in a straight jacket? Do I have to come out, I don't know, talking to myself in public? Like, what do I have to do to let you know that I have a problem? Just because I can wear the biggest smile on my face, it doesn't mean that I do not have issues within myself that I don't care to share with other people, mainly because I have to hear, oh, you'll get over it. Oh, you're doing too much. Oh, that's not what it is. And all of that other stuff. That's a part of the reason why people who are in my position don't like to talk about it. And I told my mom that I don't like hearing that I'm doing too much. I don't like hearing that that's not what it is and I'm crazy for thinking that this is what it is, because according to them, I'm fully cognizant. I don't have any issues at all. I just need to stay away from stupid people. That's according to what they told me. So, I mean, hell, according to them, my problem is y'all. My problem ain't me. My problem is y'all. So the problem would be rectified if I was away from y'all. That's basically what the professionals told me. So, I mean, that's really why it really irked me, because it's like, don't tell me that I'm not going through. So with Drew, even with y'all remember that scene when they were in there with that therapist and Ralph sat up there with his fist balled up? That really triggered me. It triggered my PTSD, because I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, if they weren't in there around those cameras and in front of that therapist, I wholeheartedly believe that he would have punched her in the face. I really do. Like, that's all I can think about. Because it's like he was holding back what he really wanted to do. Since they want to talk about who the best actress is, he was definitely the best actress. And yes, I say actress because he's a whole female. I don't like him. He is a woman. He's jealous of her. He does not like when she gets, acknowledged for all the things that she's done. And I don't like that. I really don't. That man is absolutely psychotic. He's a psychopath. Like, seriously, he got problems in his head. Not a little bit, but a lot. And I am afraid for her, because since they want to keep talking,
the thoughts and opinions of Kiana are not necessarily those of the Make It Make Sense brand. We do not.
Oh yeah, Mims ain't got nothing to do with this. See, this is what I'm saying. I be doing a little bit too much sometimes. Mims ain't got nothing to do with what's coming out my mouth. And if y'all got a problem, hey, let's go. Cause I ain't got no problem telling them to their face. I stay in Atlanta. What to do? And my whole point is, everybody wants to talk about what's being talked about in the streets. How about let's talk about allegedly in the streets when Drew said she had a little tumble down them steps. I remember that. Word on the street was her husband was the one that pushed her down them steps, allegedly. Let's talk about that, because that's what I heard. I don't know if that's what y'all heard, but that's what I heard.
Okay, so that is also unfounded, but if that's what
Kiana
heard, it's not,
yeah, that's what I heard.
That's not.
That's what I heard.
I've never heard Drew say anything physical. I think she's talked about like emotional, being emotionally abused, but I've never heard her say anything about being, physically abused.
No. Drew never said that. It was something where I guess she, I don't know, hurt her wrist or broke her arm or something.
She came on the show with a boot.
Yeah, something happened
in Jamaica.
It was a couple of things that happened to where, like, I don't know where it was. I heard it was somewhere on the internet where people were like, they believed that he, like, did something to her. And of course, rumors be rumors. I didn't want to, believe it. But like I said, when he sat up there in front of that therapist with his fist balled up, I'm like, well, maybe those rumors may be true. I don't know. I have no idea. These just rumors is rumors. But it's like, I don't like how they want to sit here and concentrate on what Drew supposedly said or lied about, but they're not talking about this man. Drew has been protecting him. He's been making himself look like the fool. And Courtney did no justice for him in his case, especially with his divorce, because what she said about that little boy, that's going to cause way more problems than a little bit in their household with those kids. And I don't like that. She's a little bit too comfortable with what she's saying. And she's a little bit too comfortable with coming after his wife. Even when she said, when he was like, oh, my wife tells a lot of lies, baby, that's a red flag. No man should tell you something like that about his significant other if he's not trying to get a divorce from them. That's a red flag. I would have side-eyed him from that. But it's like, that's why I was like, no, they're not family. They're not cousins-in-law. They're screwing. I don't care what lies Courtney has to tell. She messing with him. And they came up with this lie to try to hide it, but we're not stupid. Exactly. We're not stupid. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they felt like we didn't have enough brain cells in our craniums, but we're not dumb. And for her to keep coming up here, getting drunk and telling the tea, he seems to have gotten him a big fool, a real big fool. Instead of coleslaw, she baked beans at this point.
I
Not
think she was
coleslaw, but
doing
baked
her
beans.
job.
Kiana, you
She
have
was doing her
did.
job.
You have
Kiana,
come
she was
in
doing
and
her job. She was doing her job. Her
Most
job was to
definitely.
deflect and make it all about you, get all the stuff he wanted to say. She got it
Hmm.
out for him. That's all that was.
okay.
And Ralph
Hold on.
said, and Ralph told
Hold
me,
on one
and
second.
Ralph.
Hold on 1 second. Uniboo, jump in.
Hi, Limbs.
Hey,
Can y'all hear me?
y'all thought Norris was something. Uniboo comes in and she's so nice, and then she gets Uniboo gets.
Nice.
What's up, Uniboo?
I
What?
am super nice, okay?
Uh huh.
Um but no, I just wanted to comment about, Ralph's side chick. I mean Ralph's girlfriend. Wait, kissing cousin, whatever they are for each other. Um because I never liked her with her high pitch hyena. Yes, cousin Faith. Her high pitch hyena, chick mud. It's like chalk on board. It's so annoying. Anybody that sound like a helium balloon, you already know you can't trust them. Someone who looked like a like back in the 1990s cartoon with with her mouth drew on the side of her face, you knew you shouldn't trust them because they're out here doing the most. Since the fact that she started with Kandi with the whole fake drama, I'm like, man, I don't like her. She's doing too much. And then for now, for you to actually like in the confession talking about somebody else's marriage, like in that comment about, well, I've been more than a friend from 6 months, and she being, I'm like, how do you know that? Have you been in their wedding? I mean, in their marriage, in their household? Do you know the ins and outs in their relationship? How do you know that? So you mean to tell me he screw you a couple of nights and then he pillow talk you, now all of a sudden you know everything they know about their relationship? You know his side. Of course you're gonna be a good friend to him because he wants someone to talk to, someone to get his frustration out. You don't know
So
what the wife is doing or what she pull up with. Of course, you knew piece of me, and he's going to tell you whatever he want to tell you, so you can believe him. Because if he's manipulating Drew and gaslighting her and do all that stuff, you think your dumbass, I'm sorry, excuse my French, you think your behind is not going to, get ducked too? Like,
you
come
think
on,
ass is the
seriously?
worst thing that you've said, Uniboo, on this channel?
I'm trying.
Uniboo goes in. You think ass is the
But I'm trying to be nice today, and it's a nice day. But no, I'm just saying, like, she just pissed me off, and I feel like you know she needs to get her mouth occupied so she can stop talking about people's business, because obviously for someone who's a crisis manager, are you a crisis manager or you a crisis starter? Because apparently you are making it worse for them for their divorce. Because if I was Drew, I would have subpoena her behind. Is that the word? Yeah, I would have called her, subpoena her behind, and we're gonna go to court, and you're gonna come to court with me, and we're going to get to the divorce. What do you know? What he telling you? That's what I want to know. Since you want to send sick his dog out to tell his, to do his dirty business and laundry, I need to know what is going on. So yes, I would bring you to court, and I would subpoena you to actually come to court and order document everything he's telling you, so we can rectify this. Because I don't understand, you know, How you a cousin 6 months, they find out you're a cousin, all of a sudden, you all up in the business. It's trash to me. And little midget named Ralph, anybody that's 5 feet, he don't really trust them either.
Little person.
Anybody had
Little
no, he's
person.
5 feet. He's a little. I mean, no, little person. I'm not even gonna call him a little person. I'm gonna call him a step on,
Okay.
travel size. That's what I'm gonna call him. Because anybody with an egg-shaped head, you can't trust them. Okay, we don't know what Tommy is doing. I understand Allison said he have a job, but I'm still gonna be like Tommy, because we don't know what you do. You see that face right there? It's giving me egg almond shaped head. Anybody that's shaped like that, you can't trust them. Anybody with nostrils like that, you can't trust them. Because a lot of people, I mean, I understand Drew tell lies, we all tell lies. But Drew, sometimes she be doing a little bit too much. But at the same time, I feel like the first season, everybody was like, oh, Drew, this, that, and the third, she's getting like gaslighted by Raph, da, 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 da. And then this year's like, oh, Drew, lie. Are you sure you're not gaslighting, Raph? I was like, when did this whole thing flip? Because he been doing the same thing he been doing since season 1 till now, which is being mean, being rude, and gaslighting, and literally like making the girl go crazy and not being considerate, because he always talking about like, oh, I have job too. We all have job. Raph. We don't know about you, but we all have job. And part of you being in a marriage and also being in a relationship is to actually help your partner. Not me coming at 3 o'clock in the morning from feeding a movie and then you're gonna be like, you don't wake up your son and bring them to school because you have job. We all have job. Okay? So he get on my nerve. And I just feel like don't bring him back next season. He can go back to under the rock where he come from. And I don't want Chickmont Courtney to come back either, because she needs to go hide under the rock. She needs to go down to the midnight zone in the ocean, 1,000 feet under Titanic, where she belongs. That's where she needs to go. Matter of fact, y'all can get together, get married, and sail to the sunset, because it's giving Portia and Simon. That's what it's giving.
With broke
Yes, I
version.
said it. Because
Thank you, Uniboo.
that's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Uniboo.
See, I keep it light. I wasn't this mean. Thank you.
No, this was actually one of the nicer Uniboo. I feel like the first time I heard you was Love and Marriage Huntsville, right? Was that the first
Yeah.
time you came on and she was
Yeah.
in? So this was
No,
nice.
this was light.
Crystal clear. You were.
Hey everybody. So this is literally my first time ever doing joining your live. So I'm really excited. So hey y'all.
Is that a flower wall?
Yeah, I made it. Yeah, it's a flower wall.
It doesn't feel like it's your first time. You got a whole background and everything.
We're bringing things into fruition. So we're
Okay.
we're prophesizing here. So I got a couple of things to say. I think it's important for us to start off with. I am a true RHOA fan. When I say true, I have literally watched Real Housewives of Atlanta since season 1. And I grew up with this show. So as I matured in life, I saw the cast members mature. I've seen children, I've seen marriages, I've seen divorces. I've seen a lot. I've learned a lot about, I won't give them how to be a woman from them, but a lot of mannerisms of womanhood and like what that looks like based off of my own personal background. I've kind of like idolized some of these women. So I do take some of this personal, and I'm educated enough to know it's reality TV. So we're going to leave it there. So with that being said, I love Drew. I am from Chicago and I am biased and I do not care. Drew was another person who I have seen similar to Kenya. When I first seen Kenya on the screen, it made my heart flutter. I'm like, oh my goodness, this beautiful woman who I've seen in these movies, I've seen on these shows, and she's gorgeous and she has my skin tone and all the things. I got excited about Kenya. I got excited about Drew the same type of way. So I kind of am disappointed.
Go on.
Period. So I'm very disappointed with how I'm going to say the cast is treating Drew and this whole idea of that she's acting. And I'm going to say acting because like, okay, so Sheree's not acting with this fake relationship. Marlo's not acting with her fake archives locations that continue to change every season. Kandi is not acting with her ghosting the entire show for the entire season. She could not be found. Kenya cannot even afford to act. She refuses to act with these women. She don't like none of them, and that's very clear. So my thing is like, why is it every time Drew says something, it's always she's acting thing? It's kind of getting like, it's becoming too much, and it's people just really not giving her a fair chance to even be vulnerable. If someone's continuing to tell me I'm acting when I'm showing them who I am, what I'm going to do is shut down, and I'm not going to try to be myself with you, because how am I supposed to be vulnerable with you when I show you who I am, you tell me I'm fake? That's a problem. So with Courtney, I'm going to just say that Courtney is actually crisis managing. She is a great crisis manager. She's crisis managing her own life right now. Courtney knows that she did absolutely nothing to stay on this show. So what is she doing now? She is trying to make herself relevant. So she's saying all the most ridiculous things that she can say. She's going on like as many interviews as somebody's going to let her on, because she wants the conversation. She wants the clickbait, because the more and more we continue to talk about her, the producers are going to see these things and they're going to say, maybe Courtney should be back for the ratings. And so I just feel like Courtney's doing what she needs to do and what she thinks she needs to do in order for her to be relevant, because she has absolutely nothing other than Drew to talk about at this point. She tried it with Kandi at the beginning of the season. Kandi paid her dust, and Kandi ghosted the cast. So she could not continue to pick on Kandi. So she chose someone else, and that someone else was her fake cousin. Kandi is actually the person I'm most disappointed with in all of this. I don't think that Kandi is slick at all. Let's be clear. Let's start off with the fact that I actually watched Speak On It every episode after the show, because I enjoyed her Speak On This more than I enjoyed the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like, I enjoyed her commentary more than I enjoyed whatever the girls were talking about, until every Speak On It became a Bash Drew session. Like, if you go back for the last 5 Speak On This from this season that Kandi has done, she spent a wealthy amount of her time making jokes, talking about Drew, bringing up this story about her kissing a girl, which, by the way, whether she did or she didn't, Kandi also brought that up. Even if she did it behind the closed doors, the fact that she felt like she needed to tell another person who they kissed, I think that that's ridiculous. And
LaToya brought it up first, just to be clear. I'm not saying what Kandi did it on. LaToya brought it season. What was that?
Yeah. Well, LaToya brought it up past season, and Kandi brought it up even in the after show with LaToya in that past season, and LaToya denied it. And even when LaToya denied that's what she did in the after show, Kandi didn't do anything other than say, well, if that's what you, if maybe I missed saying something. And she died it down because LaToya is actually her friend. I don't believe that Kandi and Drew are actually friends. And that's the problem. So she doesn't have an issue with pretty much exposing Drew, bashing Drew, and trying to poke at her to find a reason to like call her this liar. So if this is the thing that you can say, well, I know you actually did this thing, and that's going to be the reason why you're a liar. And it's kind of like that's what everybody's jumping on. So I'm having an issue with that, and I'm having an issue with that. It's like every Speak On It, it's like ridiculous amount of Drew. And it's gonna. And Kandi says that the reason why she's bringing it up is because Drew called her a liar, which is ridiculous, because if you tell me I did something and I say that I didn't do that, essentially somebody's got to be a liar. So that can't be a reason for there to be smoke when Drew has never said anything malicious about Kandi until Kandi continues to bring up what Drew did or did not do. So I'm really just having an issue with Kandi. It feels to me, I'm just going to say, it feels kind of like bullying, because Kandi knows her power when it comes to her audience that she carries in Atlanta Housewives and after show. So it is a choice who you choose to put on your panels, who you choose to bring on your shows, on your after shows, what you say, what you air. All of those things are choices. So she is choosing to continue to like make Drew the butt of these jokes every interview. Like, you cannot then not be knowing what you're doing and know the impact of what you're doing. So I just feel like when Kandi likes you and when you're her friend, I've seen her protect Kenya in those same situations where if this was if Kandi saw Kenya kiss a girl, she would never have called Kenya out and said, I know you did it, because why? They're actual friends. So I think that the housewives in general are having an issue because these girls aren't really friends. And
That's
the ones
definitely
who
the
are
case.
friends, they're going to continue to ride for each other. But the ones who are not, they're at this point is going below the belt. When you start talking about people's children, when you start talking about mental health, and you don't have any, and you don't know anything about mental health, then maybe you should be quiet and educate yourself before you embarrass yourself or you make a fool out of yourself. And I just think that, I don't know, I'm very disappointed. So I still love Kandi, but I am not gonna lie, I stopped watching the Speak On is because they were cringing me. And if this girl maybe, and everybody doesn't want to be out, let's be clear, just because it's 2020 whatever, and just because that's the norm, you don't know her story, you don't know what she's going through. Who are you to continue to throw a light at somebody and try to expose them if that's not what they want to do? I just don't think that that's right, and I don't like that that's the narrative. And it does kind of feel like, I'm not gonna lie, the past is streaming, and Drew is not reaching, in my opinion, for saying that it feels like a publicity stunt to continue to like bring this thing up as you're also like filming a movie where she is like playing a woman who's interested in women. So nevertheless, I think I have more smoke for Kandi in this than Courtney, because I think Courtney is actually crisis managing herself. So she's trying to figure out how she's going to get on next season. So she's just going to say whatever, because literally next season, if she does come back, her whole storyline is going to be Drew. And we all know that. So she has to stick with that. But Kandi doesn't need any of that. She doesn't need Drew's storyline. She doesn't need to she's choosing violence. And I don't really like it. And I'm not saying that Drew is innocent. She does tell stories. All of them do. And I'm not going to make an excuse for why she may tell a fib, because they all lie. But I'm quite disappointed in where this is going. I thought that your interview with Allison was beautiful. I loved listening to her speak. I loved hearing her story, because that is something that I wish that the Real Housewives would have like show more of. I'm glad that they did show Allison, because I think it did soften people up to Drew. But in that same sense, now I kind of want to hear more of Drew's story outside of Ralph. Because I do agree with everybody that he is definitely he's for himself, and he's more, if he could be a housewife, then he'd be a housewife, and that's what it is. And so yeah, that's all I really have to say. But yeah, I appreciate
thank you for coming up, and definitely next time focus your camera on your flower wall and make that your backdrop.
Will do.
All right. Thank you. And definitely come back up. People definitely liked your opinion. So if you are thinking about becoming a content creator, go back and look at the comments and kind of gauge that as a barometer. So shout out to you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Star, you're next, and then it's D Nicole, then the Brown Cowgirl, and Timeless will knock it out.
Hey,
so, Star,
man. Hey, everyone. So I'm gonna make this real quick. So first off, Allison, that whole interview, you did an amazing job. Thank you for having her up. She has a real story. What she has gone through is as real as it gets to me. Her coming up and being willing to be vulnerable, it really touched me, because some of the same things that she talked about, I've experienced. So thank you for that. Also, I wanted to say, I know a couple of people in the chat had spoke about, experiencing like panic attacks, having anxiety attacks. Of course, I'm not sure if this will work for everybody, but I know for me, when I have those, I focus on my breathing. So I just wanted to put that out there. Just focus on your breathing. It helps. Okay, now to Kenya and Courtney. Y'all don't hate me for this, but to me, they are both mean girls. They share very similar. They share some similarities. I'm not sure what Courtney's background is. Like if she spoke about like I remember her speaking some about her background, want to speak on it, but I don't know if she really spoke about like her parents. If you notice, Kenya clashes with everyone that is literally Mean Girls. Courtney being one of them. She clashed with Nene as well. She also clashed with Marlo. Like, I feel like they all have some similarities and they are all mean in certain ways. Next, Kandi. Mims, I know you wouldn't like it, but it's the truth. If you really like look at it,
No, you can have
Kenya is
Star,
a
you can
mean
have your
girl, and
opinion
I'm
over
from
here.
Detroit, and Kenya is not. She doesn't really represent like she be doing the most, like, and she plays victim all the time, and I hate that. Kandi is my girl. Like, out of everybody on the show, she's always been my girl. But this season, some of her coded candies are starting to melt. She is starting to seem like she is the type of friend that really has no girl code. Like the last young lady just said to me, like, even although Phaedra, like, she did like the lowest of the low. But I'm starting to notice this trend where she just cannot hold water for certain people. And I don't know. I don't like that. Like, so you really said this out loud? Why? What's the reasoning for it? Like, it should be some type of girl code, and it's starting to seem like she doesn't really have that within her. Next, I do one thing that some people, I haven't heard anybody say. What's the girl name? The one who's pregnant now, Sanya. Sanya. I know
And I
she
think you forgot
mentioned
who
that
she
her
was.
husband is really close with Ralph. So I'm wondering if the husband and Ralph had a man-to-man conversation about, some of the things that have been said or done on the show as it relates to Drew. That's just something that I wonder, like, if that took place. And I really hope
I'm
that they.
sure he's telling everybody, especially people who don't like Drew, everything that he can.
Yeah, but I wonder based on how what's his name, Ross? Based on how Ross is presented on the show, I'm wondering if he's like keeping it real with him. You know what I mean? Like, or if he, because even
I
when
don't
they were
even
on
think Ross is around. I'm sorry, to be honest with you. Ross missed the doctor's appointment. Tanya said
oh
that
man,
Ross wasn't there when, when I don't want to, she said that she was alone. Her mom wasn't there. Ross wasn't there. And she had to go through the miscarriage by herself. And there was something else that she said Ross wasn't there for. So I don't think Ross is, if he's not spending the time with Sanya, I don't think he's around for Ralph.
maybe in Tampa with Ralph.
I've never heard anything like that about Ross. I think Ross lives in Austin, Texas, because they have a kind of like, I think like a limo company or something there. I think he's in Texas a lot for work. Star.
Maybe. Okay. And then the last thing, Mims, you may not like me for this, but I love you, Mims, but I want to know, why did you not like Drew because of Ralph? I feel that Drew should not be held accountable for Ralph because, people change their stripes. It seems as if Ralph was a good husband at a point in time, but I really don't think you should not like Drew because of him. Like,
it was a
I
package
also
duo.
saw that earlier Diva had reported that he added her to like a deed from a condo that they had in Jersey. So,
Who added who to a deed? What?
he added Drew to a deed. I guess he had purchased the condo back earlier parts of 2000, so it was a condo that he owned before himself, but he added her name to the deed. So, I mean, he didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's like it's major, but what I'm saying is it seems as if they had a loving relationship at a point in time. And unfortunately, people change. But I don't think you should not like Drew because of Ralph. That's all I'm saying.
They were a package duo in my head. And so I didn't like how she came on the show with the Tampa thing. That was weird to me. Then right away they moved into this mansion. It was like what housewives do, like Dorit and PK. You know, like
Yeah.
I didn't feel believable. And then all of a sudden it was like a team of people. We don't cook. We both have multiple assistants. We haven't really found out what he does. It just, to me, it did not feel authentic. And I put it off on Ralph from the very beginning because of the Tampa story. But you know, it was just my opinion. And then, you know, Drew's first season was rough. She came in with the wig, talking about it was $1,000, and she put it in the pet travel case. It was, you know, she had a couple weird moments.
But I
that
feel like
first
they all
season.
came in like that. I feel like they
No,
all
people
came
were
in like
not
that.
throwing wigs, talking about their wigs was $1,000, and we knew that was not $1,000.
Not even Kim.
Kim Zolciak came in with synthetic hair that she threw away every day. She spent, I think, $200 to $300 per day of her boyfriend. I mean, you get it. She was spending $200 to $300 of Big Papa's money every day on a synthetic wig because she smoked and did not like the way it smelled. But she said it was $200 to $300. Drew throwing that wig, talking about that's $1,000 worth of hair for that Christmas gift. You can be a Drew fan and you can admit that was like.
Do you think Go Naked is cheap? Is that what
That
you're
was not
saying?
Go Naked. She didn't get Go Naked till her second season.
I don't
Was
think
Kenya, when they were going at Drew for her looks and the boot, you know, like the hair and everything, her first season, I did think it was like your freshman year, they kind of give it to you, but everybody looks a mess their first year. Very few come on looking camera ready because they don't know what makeup to wear and all that. So Drew was no different, but I did not give her a fair shot because I did not like her husband.
Yeah, one last thing I'm gonna say about like them coming on with the house or whatever. I feel like in Atlanta, I used to stay there. I feel like in Atlanta to be on a show, especially with the way prices of homes are there, you really can't. There's really no reason why you should be coming on a show in Atlanta without a house that is decent.
She had a nice house.
No, yeah, that's what. Oh, you saying before they moved into the next one? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. They came on the show in a nice home. I didn't, but it's what they do. They all rent homes.
Exactly. I feel like in Atlanta, you really, there's no reason why you shouldn't have a decent home like in Atlanta. Now the New York girls, I don't know how they affording it. Some of them, but Atlanta. Yeah, I think it would have been another Needy like the ghetto, because there's no way in Atlanta you should not be living.
What's more ghetto than getting evicted on live television? Because that's what happened to Nene.
Oh,
her first season, she got evicted on live television. So by the time she started getting, yes, it was
I
on
do not remember
television. They didn't. You remember, if you live in Atlanta, they did not like RHOA. They did not like the girls. They thought that they were bringing Atlanta down. So Nene she always had a home in I don't want to say like a. She always had a home in a nice community, but that first home was like a business deal gone wrong. And they did not know that their home was going to be featured on the show. It was something that allegedly Greg had kind of it was a scheme Greg had set up to get them a nice home to film, because everybody else back then had mansions. Sheree, Kim's boyfriend, Big Papa had a $25 million mansion, which now would be almost double the price. But anyway, the point was, people were not pleased. Nene did not actually have a lease or anything. It was like a business deal that was way wrong. She got evicted. Then the allegations were Lisa Wu had to put a home in her name because her credit wasn't that great. So by the time she's talking about Kenya being in the ghetto, it's like, wait, what? Ma'am, you were come on. But okay. Thank you, Star. D. Nicole, you've waited so patiently. Thank you so much.
No problem. This is my first time joining the panel too, and I started following your page not too long ago, and I've enjoyed myself so far. I think your first video that I watched was the Clarence Thomas one. I was sitting there like, oh, this mother, oh, he already irritated me, but I was like, you a regular old Stevenson from Django, just. Oh,
I was so irritated, but I was glad someone else, a male, was seeing how trifling that man is, and he's not for his own people. It's just, but yeah, that was the first video I watched of you,
Before you move
and
on, thank you, because that video did not get a lot of traction. It took a lot of research and work. So just to hear that that was your first video that you watched, it's something different from my channel. A lot of times
yeah.
they'll click on the Bravo stuff, but there's things that I want to talk about that aren't going to get the fanfare. So to hear you enjoyed that actually does mean a lot to me. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for doing it. Because again, like, we don't see a lot of people calling people out like him, you know. But okay, I loved Drew in the beginning. I really did. Like her, like knowing that she was gonna be on coming to Housewives of Atlanta. I was like, okay, like I'm into it. T-Boz, okay. I was looking forward to it, and knowing her from not only the game but seeing episodes of her with in That's So Raven. I was a stan for That's So Raven, so I love the fact that she was going to be on here. I wanted to kind of see how she's been doing since all of those things, the TLC movie and all that. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, but the minute that what you call him, Hammerhead,
Ralph. Oh,
yeah,
Blockhead. I call him Blockhead.
Blockhead. Okay, sorry,
Uh-huh.
Hammer. I'm gonna call him Hammerhead. Hammerhead. The minute he talking about something, oh, I went to Tampa, and he's not telling his wife. He's not telling his wife what he did. I'm just like, you just a low down dirty dog, and it just don't make no sense. And I was like, Drew, you could be doing so much better. And I thought she was gonna be with somebody just different, like, I was hoping she was, if that makes sense. Like seeing someone that you kind of grew up with or watched on the TV. Like I was like, okay, that's not who I expected. And then I got secondhand hand embarrassment when she did that wig thing. I cringe every time someone brings it up. Like I think about it. I'm just like, Drew, that was the most embarrassing shit you have ever done. Like what? I don't think anybody on the history of the show has done something that embarrassing. And I'm like, and she
Yes,
thought
they
she
have.
ate.
But the funny thing is, it's memorable from that season, right? I
Right.
literally would have been Kenya stealing somebody else's gift. I think it had like multiple Veuve Clicquot champagnes. She went
Mhm.
and stole those and put them in her Bentley and drove off. That's the kind of dumb stuff that we want to see from House.
Right.
And Drew bringing that wig,
It was so cringe.
put that in motion. It was funny.
Yeah,
It was funny.
it was funny, but I did get secondhand embarrassment. I'm like, Drew, this is some shit that what? And then like she really thought she ate. I'm just like, babes. And then she pulled that freaking the jukebox out or show the recorder. I'm like, girl, why don't you just use your iPhone? That didn't make any sense. But I pretty much after that I was just kind of like, okay, I'm not so sure about Drew being on here. I don't think she really fit like that. Courtney,
Drew said,
cousin
"This
Faye.
$1,000 worth of hair. This $1,000 worth of hair." That was this.
So embarrassing. I was like, Drew, why would you do that? And it was just like, and then she brought out like, was that the same time she did the jukebox?
She said, "Press play,"
and it didn't want to work. It did not want to work. I'm like, why did you just use your phone? And it didn't even sound like nothing. Like, what was on the recording? That was really tea. Nothing. I was like, Drew.
That tape. Oh my God.
And then, what's it called? Courtney, cousin Faith, whatever you want to call her. I'm trying to be nice here. We didn't need her. We didn't. We just didn't. Like, you come here with this bullshit ass lie, obviously. How are y'all cousins? Tell us the timeline. Whose mama's daddy are related in some shape or form? You're not related. You're on some bullshit, obviously. why not just say a friend of friend of his or something? I was like, Courtney, and then she pissed me off when she fixed her mouth to say, I've been a better friend to him before.
I've been a better friend to him in the last 6 months than Drew was a wife to him in 8 years.
So you gave him kids, or did she? Did she take care of him at his lowest, or did you? You didn't go through that whole, you don't know the ups and the downs of that relationship. You're only here because you're his side piece. You're the baked bean, sweet pea. You're not the main dish. Try again. And I still want to know what's wrong with her mouth. I'm just really curious about that. I'm just saying. What's going on with it? Kenya made me die laughing when she was when she copied her. I was like, okay, Kenya. Usually I'm not a huge twirl. I'm like a mini twirl. But I was like, Kenya, that made me cackle. That did. But yeah, I just And Marlo didn't need no damn peach. She didn't. She didn't add anything to this daggone show. Scott Lee. Every time I would hear Scott Lee, I'm like, is that Peter? I really thought Scott Lee was Peter for a minute because he does sound like him, just a tad bit. But yeah, Marlo didn't need peach. She just wanted Kenya wasn't gonna give her the time of day at all. Kandi, the bullshit she pulled with Kandi, I was like, okay, it went on too long for one.
Mm-hmm.
We just needed one episode of that. Why did it carry on longer than one episode? And it's obvious that you're just picking at straws at this point. And I want to know what the chair in the background is. The little, how in her house she has that chair.
Lift, the chair lift.
Who is that for? Is that for the sugar daddy or something? I'm just curious.
It would be very easy for Marlo to say, I invested in, Nas could say, I made more money in the Ring doorbell than I did in my whole career. It would be very easy to say, I invested in the right stuff. And the right stuff is this tech firm, this company. I have invested in Starbucks at the beginning and I'm living off dividends. If that was the case, then she could say it. That's why I don't believe it. But thank you so much for waiting so patiently. Definitely come up. This is a different kind of live. That's why I haven't really put, time limits or anything on it. It's just a fun Saturday night. Thank you guys for being here. I got a couple super chats and then we're going to get to the brown cowgirl, and then Timeless is gonna wrap us up. So Dr. Frida says Norris looks so sweet and innocent, but then he went all the way in. That's what Norris does. That's what he does for a living. He goes in. iCode Switch says joining late. Has anyone talked about how the plot in the past mirrors Drew's life? A couple of the callers have mentioned that. A couple of the callers were actually upset that Kandi continued to talk about it, and they likened the past and Drew's current situation as a way to, potentially promote her movie. So a couple people have mentioned that. Thank you for the super chat. Real Talk 2 says it's important to know the difference between mental health and mental illness. Mental illness can result from traumatic experience like a car accident or a toxic relationship. So we are all susceptible to mental illness. Thank you so much. Real Talk 2, are you a therapist or a doctor? Let us know in the chat. You don't have to send another super chat. I'll highlight it. iCode Switch says, nah, Drew was unlikable at first. She threw a bone at old girl. She did throw that bone at Sheree's friend. Recorded LaToya and fumbled the reveal. Had Suge Knight dancing all in the confessionals. Thank you, iCode Switch. I forgot about that bone. But that hair, this is $1,000 hair. That was funny. Funny, embarrassing, whatever. Those are the kind of moments that we look for on Housewives. Mess. Happy Saturday. Drew, pretty girl, but big liar. Thank you, Q, the content guy. The brown cowgirl, you have also waited very patiently. Jump in.
Hi, Mims.
Hey.
This is also my first time. I'm kind of new to YouTube and found you early in my journey on YouTube. And as I've watched a lot of other content creators, I just like how fair you are. I can't, some other people, I said I can't subscribe because they're not balanced. and you're
Thank
fair,
you.
and that's what I like. Your interview with Allison was one of the best interviews I have ever seen.
Oh
She
wow.
was so engaging. You gave her the space. You didn't just have her on to be messy. You wanted her to talk about her accomplishments, and we needed to hear that. I don't think anybody knew how deep her background was, and it's interesting. She mentioned different names. I heard Manetta on another channel, and when she name dropped, it was real cringy the way she name dropped. But when Allison talked about these people that she knew, you didn't feel like she was bragging. It just was what it was. And so the interview was great. One thing I wanted to point out, this whole issue about you don't know what people are going through, or you can't tell by looking at someone. Allison, in your interview, told us she had been in the hospital and got out and was doing well and doing her podcast. And her current husband's side chick, because she said he just drove away, posted pictures, and she must have tagged Allison. And that sent her into a tailspin. It triggered her, and she ended up voluntarily going back to the hospital. And I bring that up to say that, if that woman had shown some grace, you are messing with someone else's husband. And she thought it was a good idea. She wanted to gloat or whatever she thought she was doing, and to post pictures on the internet, to stick it to her, and look what happened. If we have more grace for each other, especially as women, but just as human beings, why would she do that? And I hope somehow it gets back to her the effect that had, so that she can think about her actions, because it was totally uncalled for. And it sent Allison, she ended up back in the hospital because of that. And I just wanted to bring that up as an example of, thinking about how your actions might affect people. You don't ever know where people are or what they're going through. And that's a great example of that, because she was just being messy, posted some pictures, and it triggered her.
Alan's a better one than me, because I would have got you back. Like you think it's a joke. It's definitely not a joke.
Right.
Feedback is real, and I would have got you back.
And just listen to what, when you're dealing with a married man, I don't care what he says. And that's the thing about Ralph. Ralph, it's not just that he doesn't love Drew, he doesn't like Drew even a little bit. Allison is divorced, and she still talks about her first husband with respect and a kindness. And when you look at what Ralph has said and done in Drew's face and behind her back and talking to Courtney, the things that he has said, I wouldn't do to my worst enemy. He has absolutely no respect for her. And the thing that I got from your interview, because I didn't really care for Drew, but Allison helped me realize that Drew was being a real old school wife and holding to that notion that you're supposed to stand by your man and support him, keep issues in the house. And I think that has fueled a lot of her actions and a lot of the things that she has said, protecting him and protecting their marriage and their home. And she has lied. Like the last caller, I've been a Kandi fan for a while, and I've been so disappointed in her, because when Drew went so hard, chances are she kissed LaToya. People saw her. But the fact that she went so hard said, or should have said to Kandi, there's something more going on here. And Kandi should have, at that point, backed off. And, when she said, well, we're going to have to agree to disagree, but she kept going back to it because she felt so personally offended at being called a liar. And I get that. But at the same time, it was clear that there was something deeper going on. When she's swearing on her children and going so hard, there's a reason behind that. And even though you don't know what it is, I think you have to say, you have to stop and back up.
Let me ask you this, Brown Call Girl. What's interesting to me is nobody is mad at Marlo for recording this, right? We found out that Marlo has been the mole multiple seasons. Marlo is, I guess why she gets a positive edit. She will do things to aid the producers in doing storylines. So basically Marlo won because now Drew and Kandi are fighting. Marlo recorded something that was not, the cameras were down. Even though you're with the cast, the cameras were down, the mic packs were off. Marlo's recording conversations, and nobody is actually mad at Marlo for setting this fire.
You're right. Marlo is just messy. And someone said that the producers told
That she
them
looks like John
before-
Amos. That was Kenya. Kenya was the one that said, "No, I'm
Oh.
playing with you, Brown Cocker." Kenya said it, not me.
Told them to. So Marlo is she's been doing the producers work all season, and they have been giving her, you know, I have to agree with Kenya on that one. She has been getting the wonderful edits to make her look soft. And even sometimes when the other ladies are arguing, you see Margot go, oh, you know, like all of a sudden she's so shocked that they would raise their voices and say unkind things. And I'm thinking to myself, who are you? And when did this rehabilitation start that you're trying to, you know, to flip up your image? We already know who you are.
It started when she was on probation.
Yeah. Well, you know, the probation. You know, the therapy. She's got a life coach. She's got a therapist. You know, I'm just not. It's not ringing true for me. Mm-hmm. But my big issue is Ralph. He is just despicable, and Courtney has done his bidding. I felt like when I watched the Speak on it and I saw it live, I felt like Courtney was doing crisis management for him because she was carrying the water. Everything she said, and he has discovery and it's strong and he feels good about it and this, that. And I was, you know, people don't even tell their real cousins that much stuff. It doesn't make sense.
He fed it
and
to
she
her.
was so gleeful about it. This is not a kind person who tried to say that she's for women and I support women. You don't have to like Drew, but you could treat her like a human being. And Courtney was just a little too gleeful about the downfall of a marriage with young children, an 8-year marriage. I mean, that's nothing to giggle about.
This was Courtney. Every time Ralph called her, this was Courtney. Every time she did an interview and said, Ralph said, Ralph said, Ralph said, Ralph said. And then when Drew would walk in the room, this was Courtney walking away with Ralph. Ralph told me. Can y'all see Courtney saying that? Ralph told me.
After 6 years, I wouldn't hire Courtney to walk my dog, much less do crisis management. I hope she doesn't think that this is good for her brand, because she's just been smug and gleeful about this whole situation and willing to carry his water and do his bidding. Ralph, and the fact that even though Allison, and you know Allison is a straight shooter, because even though she couldn't tell us what Ralph did for a living, she still said, oh, no, he's got a job. I've seen him on Zoom. And, you know, when you were kind of clowning and she wasn't co-signing it, even with everything that has gone on, she still wanted to be fair to Ralph, because most sisters would have just gone in and said, yeah, you know, that bum, you know, whatever, given the opportunity. And she didn't do that.
I think it's important to say that they're young kids, and that's probably why, right? Like, she's aware that her niece and nephew are very young, and she's not going to try to diminish him in that way. You know, that's fair.
He's their father. Well, that just shows her character compared to someone like Courtney. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for doing what you do. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you, Brown Call Girl. And definitely come back up. I am really loving all the new first timers. Like, it's a breath of fresh air to hear, you know, how new people or newer people who aren't on the panel think. So definitely come back up. Don't be a stranger.
Thanks.
Have a good holiday weekend. Timeless, you are bringing us home.
Hello.
Hey.
Wow.
Oh no!
Everybody
not when you start with the. Not when you start.
Look, I can understand why people don't like Drew.
Mhm.
She's doing a lot. She was doing a lot of things that a lot of women don't like, which was protecting a man that was not protecting her. So a lot of people were expressing their feelings on her. They wanted to protect her, but at the same time, it was like, you don't want to call her stupid, but at the same time, you're like, oh, you're such an idiot. But anyway, I think for Drew, when he's gone, I hope they bring her back. I think we're going to see a completely different person. The interview you did with her sister was everything.
Well,
I
thank you.
knew her sister was going to come and defend her little sister because I have a little sister. I would have did the same exact thing. She knows who Drew is, and she was saying who she was, and at the same time, she was saying how we were feeling about her defending her husband. She was letting her know. She was kind of giving us more of a overall view of the fact that she was old school, and that's why she acts the way she does. That's why she protects him. That's why she makes up these stories to kind of make him look good. Because that's what people back in those days they did. They would do anything to protect and keep their husband looking like he's the man of the house or he's the man that does everything and he's so great. But I really believe her husband doesn't like her. The way he talks, the way he looks, he's always thinking of a way to tear her down in a spiteful, sneaky way.
I think he's
And
jealous of her, Timeless.
I believe that too. I truly believe that too. And he's
Because you can
spiteful.
have money. The funny thing about people, you can have money but not celebrity. And the ones who have the celebrity are the ones that want money. And the ones that have the money are the ones that want celebrity. That's the way it always plays out. And I think that
Absolutely.
you can have a 10,000 square. I give Ralph a hard time. Q just said he works at Circuit City. I say Best Buy as Geek Squad. But at the end of the day, we haven't seen any liens on his house. So it's just me giving him a hard time. So he probably does have some money. I don't technically know what he does, but I feel like he wants Drew's celebrity.
Absolutely. He wants her celebrity. He wants the attention on himself. Look, I've been married for 20 years. I just had my anniversary. And let me tell you,
Congratulations.
thank you. Me and my husband, we have each other's back. And a lot of my friends ask me for advice and things of that nature. And when it comes to a marriage, my thing is one person is not more special than the other. When you get in a relationship, people have to remember you was a person before you met that person. You had parents who put their all into you, who put their money into you, who raised you with good qualities, sent you to school, did a whole lot for you. So when you come into a marriage, you're really just bringing something together to build a whole house. But when you meet someone who doesn't have that same mindset, I hope that before you marry them, you figure that out. Because a marriage can be a beautiful thing, but it also can be a dangerous thing to sleep with the enemy. And right now, I think Ralph is the enemy, and hopefully Drew does not get back with him. I feel for her kids, but for her sanity and her health, she needs to separate herself from him. And for her kids, because obviously he doesn't care. To let this woman, Courtney, in there like that, and the fact that her sister, I'm glad her sister's there now. I'm glad her sister's strong enough to come in and stand for her sister and protect her. Because when you have people coming at her like this, you can still see that her sister not being in her life has kind of stunted her growth when it comes to protecting herself and her peace. she's not strong enough to stand out there on that. But now that her sister's back in her life, and she's probably always been there, but that part when it comes to dealing with a man, I think she needed her sister there because there's a lot she could have learned from her. Courtney, she was basically doing what Ralph needed her to do, and that was get the information he needed out there, and she did it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, production, I can see them bringing Courtney back. Why? Because she's messy. But do we really want that type of messy? Just like Marlo's messy. Do we really want that type of messy? Why can't we have a show where we have people like Kandi and people like Kenya who are actually doing something, and we can share in that and then have the good times at the same time and the shade.
What about this? You just made me think about something. What if things had played out differently and we would have had Dr. Heavenly on RHOA?
Oh my gosh, she would have
Can
talked
you
about
imagine?
everybody's mama and probably cussed Candy's mama's out. I don't know. It would have been a whole mess.
I mean, but she had the lifestyle. What I think is missing from the show is people, not necessarily Phaedra, but people who had actual like business type careers like Phaedra. I think the thought of a Courtney being on the show and crisis management and all that kind of stuff was great. I don't think it played out well in Courtney, but I would like to see more professional people like Tanya Sam. Although she wasn't my favorite, it was good to see somebody in tech.
Yeah.
It was good to see somebody,
I have to agree.
speaking at conferences and stuff like that.
I think that's what we're missing. We're missing seeing that part of their lives. They're so focused on the mess and thinking that we want to see Black women dragging each other down through the dirt. No, we want the nice shade that make us laugh.
Look at Married to Medicine, for example. When Simone and Cecil were going to get a divorce, and even though all the cast have been fighting and throwing shade, they all, as a cast, came and said, what can we do at this reunion to make sure that y'all are sitting next to each other and are going to work this out? That is like, we can throw shade, we can do whatever, because that's what's fun for the cameras, but there's real friendships among the Married to Medicine women. I think that's missing in RHOA.
But and also, let's compare the mess on Married to Medicine, and I watch it. They don't get low like this, and RHOA didn't used to get this low. This has gotten this last 2 years with shows and dealing with Black women. It's really gotten too low for me.
It's up the ante. It's like Love and Hip Hop sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear the trashing so much. I like seeing drunk Kenya.
I like when she stole those bottles. If it was me and I paid $1,000 for some diamonds and you gave me this wig, I'm gonna steal the champagne too.
Absolutely.
That's funny. That's
what I want to see. I don't want to see you tearing somebody down, because all you're going to do is trigger me, and me sitting here in my house saying that was me, I would whip that and and I would have did this, and that's not what you. If that's what they're trying to give throughout the show, then maybe this is just not for me. But the down dirty shade is just too much for me. It's too much.
Snakegate was not bad, right? You have you have Portia and Kenya friends. Kenya sticking out her tongue to try to figure out who recorded like that. To be honest, that really wasn't a dark season until Nene started like spitting on people or trying to spit.
Exactly.
That was fun. I'm not gonna lie. Season 12 was kind of fun. Now that you got me thinking about this.
It's a different time, right? It's a different type of of shade and fun, and when you're doing stupid things, and that's what we want to see. I don't
You
know
bought
about other
yourself a
people.
crab cake and not me. That's fun. I mean, I would be mad, but the fact that they're fighting, like these rich women are fighting over a crab cake, is funny. It's lighthearted. I would not want to be on a Kenya trip,
No, I
but
wouldn't either. No,
but
you're gonna
it's
starve.
it's it's funny. Like you definitely have a good point. It could be lighter, and light can be funny. It doesn't always have to be upping the ante to the very worst thing and like showing the very worst side of people. I want to see rich
Exactly.
women do dumb things.
Exactly. That's what I want. And I want to see fashion. I want to see fashion. I want to see how you make money. I want to see how you built that company. I want to see all of that. I want to see touches of that. We're not, us women, us black women, we're not all fighting every day, all day. That's not what we want. And that's not who we are. We're women who, when you see us, it's, oh, she's beautiful. She's a different type of beautiful. Oh, she's so athletic. Oh, she can dance. Oh, she's so smart. Oh, listen to that tongue. She'll tell you something in a minute. We're saucy, all of that. And just to show us in this one light, it's very discouraging and
They
very
missed the mark.
tormenting.
They missed the mark.
So
They're gonna have
yeah,
to switch it out. There needs to be like real friendships on the cast. It can't just be straight up divided. It's not cool on this season. It wasn't cool on the Puerto Rico season either. That's not fun to
no.
watch. Now Puerto Rico was funny, but having a whole season where you have three against three the whole time,
Yeah, nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. That's the same way with real RHOP. That too. Because those two blue-eyed women on that show can get down and dirty. And then you have it to where it's light against dark. I don't like it
yeah,
because
I
you
don't like it
giving
either.
people conversation. I don't like it, and it's not a good conversation. It's like we can't work together, and to and for these producers to push that narrative, that's what gets me. They're pushing this negative narrative on this, and I understand they want to get paid, and I understand this is a show, but at the same time, you have to be able to say, no, we're not going to do that. That's what we're not going to do. The
The
same way
time
Married to Women knows how to come together and they work together. I tell you, the way they brought that relationship and helped Cecil, and that was beautiful.
Mhm.
That's who we are.
Yeah, I
What,
definitely hear you. I
what
think
was
that
you gonna say?
no, I'm agreeing with you. I hadn't really like thought of it from this vantage point of the darkness because every season people go a little bit further and it ups the ante and they do it in hopes that, it'll drive the ratings. And I think RHOA more than anybody, what they are doing is waiting for a read to get somebody. All of them do it, especially on RHOA. They are just waiting for their opportunity to read you, whether it's about your business, your marriage, how you look, and it's every episode. So I wouldn't be mad for a recast, not a total recast, but they need to revamp it. And if cousin Courtney becomes a friend of the show next season, I'm gonna rethink watching it.
Me too. I
But
am.
we
If
but
they,
we have been here for well over 2 hours. So
yes,
thank you
we
so
have.
much, Timeless, for being patient. You guys have a very safe holiday. I'll be back tomorrow right after the reunion at 8:30 Central to review it. Kandi, I think is going to be addressing all of this tomorrow
Hmm.
as well. So we'll be talking about that too. But thank you guys for being here. This was impromptu. I'm gonna see y'all later.
Thank you,
Have a
Mims.
good one.
Don't
Ooh,
forget to like.
don't forget, yeah, like on your way out. We only got 600 likes.